Okay, so I was sort of toying around including this into the last video because I've got no idea how much I have to say on it really, but I'll just start speaking and see what happens. Of course, having a psychoanalytical propensity, I'm very intrigued as to how human consciousness works and the things that come out of consciousness. I'm not interested one iota in neurology about the firings of this and that. It's like watching a snail crawl across a motorway. It's kind of like, what's your point? Get on with it then. Is there anything we can take home from this? No, nothing. So, in recent times, I've made some great revelations as to how people think. And one of them was, let me just introduce the video first and foremost. It's about how different people, different brains, different consciousnesses perceive the world, because it turns out that some people don't have an internal monologue. They don't have the voice in their head when they are thinking about things. Some people don't have the dialogue with two voices in their heads which communicate everything. And myself, I'm what's called an aphantasiac. I have aphantasia. I don't like to say that I don't have nothing, you know, bullshit, labelling me with this shit, but I don't see visions when I close my eyes. I see absolutely nothing. Never have seen anything. But I do dream in colour. I have the most amazing spiritual experience with a super technicolor. When I take entheogens, everything is absolutely DMT-esque. I see all that DMT stuff. And so it's really curious. And then I can lie in bed with hypnagogia and hypnopompia, and I can have crystal clear visions then. But if I want to think about something, think about a banana, there's nothing there. My mind works in Platonic forms. It just thinks of ideas. That's how my mind works. And I can think of a million versions of a chair. I can just picture so many fluctuating different sort of chairs that I've seen in my life, or I can imagine, you know, building in my mind's eye. That's what happens with me. Whereas if I was to say to you, picture a chair, you close your eyes and you go, oh yeah, it's a blue armchair. It's got arms like this and it's big fluffy and it's a little bit, you know, dirty here and there. And you're all specific about one chair. I'm like, fuck. I think that's really limiting, because just one chair, it restricts your focus. I don't see one chair. I just have an idea or a billion ideas of chairs. And so I think that's much more useful. And that's probably why I'm a philosopher or psychoanalyst, because of all these things. So, aphantasia. If you don't see colour visions when you close your eyes, then you have that. And I didn't know about this until about 2 years ago, I think. And I always used to be saying to, you know, people I was philosophising with, walking around this, that and the other, you know, particularly an old friend of mine, he always used to say that he used to just, like, for years and years as a kid, be lying in his bed, building worlds of his own, you know, build everything. He'd build forts and islands and all this sort of stuff, because he was a lonely kid in his bedroom, and he just went in, and he could do all this. And then he said that he could just close his eyes and he could see a beach, and he tells you exactly how the beach is, exactly how the sea is, and all this sort of thing. And I'm going, really? Do you really fucking see that, or you just imagine it? He says, I'm telling you now, I see it as clear as I see this word out here. And I'm like, fuck. I don't see anything. Never seen anything. I've always been under the delusion, misconception that people were just imagining that they saw that, like I was. If you say to me, imagine the beach, I'll go, what sort of beach? You know, Stone Beach, Pebble Beach, Black Beach, White Beach, Yellow Beach, fucking Skinny Beach, Broad Beach, Long Beach, Short Beach, High Beach, Low Beach. What sort of beach? You know. And so when I was taking my hypnotherapy course, learning to be a hypnotist, we used to do all this stuff, and it's all countdowns, going downstairs, walking into your secret garden and your beach, and it's all this visualization. You see these roses on your right, and then you see the daisies on your left, and you look at their vibrant colours, and I'm like, well, alright, what colour shall I choose then? There's a fucking billion shades of fucking whatever, you know, and it's kind of like, I never saw anything. And I thought to myself, I'm going to think of another way, because that wasn't working for me. And I think that the people who, you know, started with this whole hypnotherapy thing, you know, teaching people to do these things, they weren't aware that some people are a fantasiac, you know. So, you got that thing going on. And then, you know, there's people that do not actually have a monologue in their head. And so someone sent me a video of this, and I'll see if I can remember where it is, see if I can find it and post it. It's 15 minutes long. It's just a short interview of this guy that thought, what the fuck? And so he interviewed this girl who didn't have a monologue. Says, well, how does that work? How do you... If you're reading, for instance, if you're not speaking to yourself in your mind, how is it that you read? And she says, well, I just... So I'm actually saying the words. That's how I do it. Or if I'm not saying it, then I've got pictures coming forwards. The words are related to pictures. And if, you know, obviously I can't relate all the words to pictures, then I just go through it like that. And he was like, what if you're on a date? Okay, what if you're on a date then? And, you know, you look at this bloke and you're like, well, I'm not impressed by that shirt. That's a stupid shirt. Or look how he's eating. Or look how he's, you know, slouching. Do you ever think about things like that? She's like, no. You know, basically I'm just going down a list of ticks and crosses. And it's like, oh, he does this, tick. Oh, he's nice. I like that about him. Oh, tick, tick, tick. And then maybe a few things that you might not like. And it's all crossed there. But that's what she was doing in her head. Ticks and crosses. What the fuck? Is it any wonder the world's in trouble, people? They don't have a monologue, let alone a dialogue. I have a dialogue, so I don't see anything, but I have a dialogue, and I'm telling you now, I'd much rather have that. Because when these people, without a fantasia, think of something, it's only ever one thing. Very, very restrictive. No thanks, I don't want that. Thank you, God, for not giving me that shit. And so I just think of a myriad of versions of whatever it is I'm thinking about. So, when I'm thinking about anything, there's two of us in here. There's a right brain and a left brain perspective. Left brain super logical, and then the right brain, you know, it's emotional, inspirational, creative, and all those sort of things. And I would have been certain that everybody would have had that. Otherwise, why have we all got two fucking brains if you're not using them? And I'm like, I don't get how that works. But it makes a lot of sense when you look around and you see these automaton. You go, that's the answer. They don't talk to themselves. They don't ask questions. They never do it. And this is why when I've said to so many people randomly, so what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Ooh, now you've got me. Ooh, let me think about that. Ooh, they've never thought. And I was always astounded. What, you've never thought about that? I asked 20 Christians in a space of about 2 weeks. I said, could you tell me, please, what the difference is between faith and belief? Ooh. And none of them could answer me there and then. Need to think about that, need to think about that. And then, they had to search and search and search and search. And I said, well, if you've got to look in your book, surely you don't know it. I would have thought you would have known it. Because all Christians say, you've got to have faith, your faith, your faith. Well, if you don't know what it is, how the fuck do you know you have it? And so how do you know that you've just not been deluding yourself? If you don't actually know what faith is, then you've been deluding yourself all this time thinking you've got faith and you know Jesus and God. Do you know them? No, they never knew them at all. I never met one that did. And I'm like, wow, I've got loads of stories to tell you how I know them, how I've met them, and how I feel them in here. They are me, I am them. You can't tell me any of this. What's wrong? You're Christians. I'm not. The fuck's going on? I went to see pastors. I went to see 3 pastors. I spent time with them, sitting down for hours, having conversations about this stuff. The closest I got to any semblance of where I was coming from was one of the pastors used to be terrorised as a younger person with negative astral energies. So he believed, he knew, he had experience of spirits. And I think that terror sent him into, searching for God and Jesus. But they couldn't tell me what faith and belief was. So I worked that out myself. And there's a brilliant story of how maybe God told me what the difference was. And I write about this in my book. One day I'm just outside and looking at the clouds and the skies, and I'm like, okay then God, it is said that if we ask you something, this is a Jesus thing, whatever you ask of me, then, I have a covenant with you to answer. Okay, you got a covenant with me. Right then, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, I love you and I believe you. I surely do. Honestly, I do. Okay, tell me this, please. What's the difference between belief and faith? There's a poof. I saw a vision in the fucking sky with clouds. It was clouds, actual clouds that are already there. And I won't labour this now, because, read the book. Those of you that have bought the book, 57 of you so far, you'll come to that part and you'll seriously contemplate, And then I asked, well, was that God, or was that my higher self, or my unconscious? Was I tapping into the collective unconscious? Was I tapping into the morphic resonance? What exactly was going on? And so I speak about all those things, the collective unconsciousness. I talk about archetypes, I talk about morphic resonance, I talk about the unconscious, I talk about, the nature and potential of belief and faith and all those. Anyway, so I have an internal dialogue, and I'm like, shall we go to the gym? And it's kind of like, always we, because there's no one thing going on here, people. Shall we go to the gym? And I'm like, okay. Well, come on, as soon as you get there, you're all fucking pumped up, and then you probably have the best workout, and like, yeah, you're right. All right then, yeah, just let me finish off, and that's what's always going on within me. There's always this dialogue going on. And this is why then probably I have never been alone. And whenever people say, oh, I'm lonely, I'm like, how the fuck could you be lonely? You're the cosmos. You've got consciousness. You've got a billion things to entertain yourself in your mind. But I didn't know they were vacuous. They don't have anything in here. No thoughts. No internal monologue or dialogue. Just neurons firing that tell them to do something, like a battery operated or remote control fucking gadget. That's all they are. Some fucking things remote controlling them. Who's that? Media. Propaganda. And that's why I'm always saying, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Can't you see? You're under hypnosis. You've been hypnotized. Don't you know what hypnosis is? Don't you know what propaganda is? Don't you know what deception is? It's unfathomable. And this is something that Rogan and Terence Howard were saying last night in the video. What happened during COVID? Why did so many people buy into it? What was going on? But when we start to know how some minds work and others don't, it's a done deal. You've got exactly the reason. They don't think. They're just programmed matter, automaton. And I've known for years that they were husks. They're just empty, they weren't conscious. And I swear the vast majority of people are not conscious. They're not conscious. Wow. It's all coming clear now. 14 years into this, it's all coming really clear. Fascinating shit. If you've got any stories about this, any information or videos or books, you know, bang them down in the comments, because I'm sure we're all going to be fascinated with that stuff. But yes, answered a lot of questions. Look at how this video has turned out now. I was thinking, oh, I'll just you know, tack this on to the end of the last video. This is going to be the longest video, because all of a sudden, you know, my consciousness has opened up, my internal dialogue is fucking pumping, and there's an enormous amount to say about this. And so this sort of thing I'll probably, you know, do, you know, quite a lot of videos about, because I'll do some more research about it, and hopefully you'll send me some stuff, and you know, we can get something going, and then we can have conversations about people who don't see this or do see that or don't hear this and that, you know. And it's amazing how many differences there actually are. Now, when I'm looking at the natural world, and I'm looking closely at this leaf, and I'm looking at that leaf, and I'm like, well, you know, they're both called beech. So they've both got beachiness about them, but also there's a great deal of difference within this one and that one, you know, on occasion. And I'm like, interesting. How's that work? And of course, there's all this interpollination going on, and you know, morphing in and out of different species, and evolution, whatever. And so that's what keeps me fascinated about all that nuances. And of course I look for all these different nuances in people's thoughts and actions and things like that, being a studier of man. And so, just to reiterate then, some people see coloured images, and doubtless there's a whole different grade of that, from very vague to completely technicolor. So that's a subject that is investigating a whole lot more. Then some people who don't have a monologue, let alone a dialogue, so they could never ask themselves, what do they feel about this, what do they feel about that? And that's why when you ask people, they don't know. And if they give you an answer, they just recall an image of something that they heard, right? And that's what they do out there. That's what the powers that be know how to get the vast majority up under control. And that's why they've always hated and been very threatened with people like me and some of you, who can't be controlled. We can't be hypnotized. I used to think maybe it's because I was thrown out the nest, you know, as a youngster, and I was always in and out of schools, and that's why they couldn't program me. But it doesn't turn out it was that at all. It's just because I actually have a functioning brain where I can think for myself and make my own decisions about what the fuck I like and don't like and want to do. Wow. And I instantly listened to the bullshit these teachers were saying, and I'm like, what fucking use is that to me? What's bullshit that is. I used to be out in nature all the time. I was always discovering and, you know, learning about the world about me. Go and sit in school, and then the teachers just start reading from a book and chalking it on the fucking board, and you copy it down. Everybody's completely disinterested, just fucking copying this squiggle fucking shit down. Fold your book and fuck off. That's all we ever did. That's all I ever did, and my fucking mates. I couldn't see anybody that was learning any of this bullshit. You know, and the keynotes, of course, you know, they'd write it all neat, and then they'd read it over, and I suppose they'd absorb it, because they've got to regurgitate it come the exams. I never took any exams. I knew that I wasn't going to even get fucking C minus. I wasn't going to get anything. You know, I just didn't go there, and so I didn't do them. And I never had any qualifications. Never had any qualifications until many years later when I educated myself. So, and I don't need qualifications from them. I've got qualifications from the cosmos. I've got 50 PhDs, by the way. What else is to say about this? Yeah. So now, when I'm speaking with people, or when I'm making videos, and how many times have I said to you guys, don't you get it? What the fuck's going on? I'm telling you all this fucking stuff. Surely you must have thoughts about it. Do you? Do you? And now I'm like, I'm not from here. I'm not from here. I'm not from here. What the fuck's fuck's going on? The fucking zombies all around me. That's why I'm an Anunnaki. I must be. I'm vastly more superior. And somebody writes in the comments, you're not superior, you just look like a very mediocre person to me. Really? That's because you don't have a fucking single thought of your own, you fucking muppet. Fuck off and die. Fucking retards. Just go and pack my fucking beans, motherfucker. I'm telling you now, when I come back in a reincarnated being, I'll have all those fuckers breaking rocks. Every second of their fucking lives they'll be breaking... Oh, they already are. Only it's called packing chickens, canning beans, bottling beer, packing crepes, sweeping roads, cleaning toilets, driving trucks, posting letters, delivering parcels. Fucking hell. On and on and on. We need these motherfuckers. We need them. Don't we? I look at my job. My job is imparting the wisdom from the cosmos to the few of you out there that can receive it. And everybody feeds me. Everybody gives me everything I want to live a perfect life. Super healthy, perfect, wonderful life am I living. And that's all down to those robots out there. Robots, as far as the eye can see, they're all serving me. In China and India, fucking Budapest and fucking Timbuktu, they're all serving me. Wow. Is it any wonder I sometimes get a bit like haughty? Yeah. Or wouldn't you? If the whole world's serving you, wouldn't you? Everybody's serving me. And so in return I serve some of you, because that's the code, you see. That's the code. We have to allow energy and information and wisdom to pass through us. We're conduits. We can't just... I said to my mate, who never, wants to come on videos anymore, or doesn't want to impart information to anybody, keep it all to himself. I'm like, what the fuck's all that about? It's fucking bullshit, that is. And like you like frown at me when I'm always going, I ain't throwing fucking pearls to these fucking swine. They should all be fucking breaking rocks. And he's like, well, it's not their fault. I'm like, well, whose fucking fault is it if it's not you? It's not down to you. It is their fucking fault. Evidence it's their fault. It's their faulty genetics. It's their baseline genetics. It is their fucking fault. That's why they're fucking packed beans. Jeepers creepers. It just turned out that some of us need that shit taken care of. So we can do this. Look at all the philosophers, the thinkers, all the scientists and all that. They just think, and everybody fucking feeds them. They're like queen bees. We're like queen bees. We keep the whole fucking thing alive. We are the life force to humanity. And those fucks have to fucking feed us, have to cater for us. When you look at it like that, isn't that amazing? Isn't it amazing when you look at it like that? It's not a fantasy, is it? It's a fucking so-called reality, if anything is a reality here. People, there is such a thing as castes. The Indians knew it because they've been smart fuckers for thousands of years ago. That's why all this fucking, philosophy came out of India. And they reckoned, well, you've got castes, lower castes and higher castes, and none of them should be intermingling. They knew how it was years ago, but now, of course, it's the liberalists that fucking got their oar in the fucking pot. And, oh, we're all equal. We're not all equal. We're a long way from being equal. But you see, who wants us to be all equal? Those motherfuckers up there want us to be all equal and mediocre and not put our heads above the parapet and, come up with new ideas and do anything like that. No, keep down, keep down. Don't be getting any better than anybody else, because if you get better than anybody else, every other fucking motherfucker is going to be pulling you down. And this is the parable of the bucket full of crabs. 3 buckets of crabs. One's English, one's German, and one's Bulgarian. And so, 2 of the buckets of crabs don't have lids on. And one of them does have a lid on. And No. 2 of them have lids on. 1 of them doesn't have a lid on. The English bucket of crabs has a lid to prevent the crabs coming out. The German bucket of crabs has a lid to serve the same purpose. The person observing the 3 buckets of crabs says, "Why doesn't that one have a lid on it?" And the person, who was Bulgarian, said, "They're Bulgarian crabs. The others are English and German crabs." Well, why do you need a lid on the Bulgarian crabs? Because they're all so bitter and twisted that if any one crab tries to get out, all the rest of them are going to pull it back in. I was like, fuck. That's some fucking wisdom, that is. I lived in Bulgaria for 3 years. And I saw how they were all very, very jealous. And they were all pulling each other down all the time, because they'd not long been out of communism, and so they had this communistic mindset that it was like everyone's the same and nobody should have more than the next person, otherwise they'd be seriously embittered and jealous. So it's all like looking at the Joneses and making sure that they didn't have anything more than they had, in this nasty form of fucking, you know, subservience to communism. But then, when they got out of communism, it was still deeply rooted into their culture, and it's going to take probably 50 years to eradicate that. And I thought, well, that's wonderful philosophy, to recognise that about themselves. Yes. So, I mean, human psychology is a very, very fascinating subject. And so I've got a lot to get involved with in this, because I'm sure it runs very, very deep, and I now can start applying it to the whole world, and it's going to make a whole bunch of sense. Because look, people, for those of you that don't know how I run my life, I've lived my life for the past 14 years, and I haven't done a stroke of work to earn any of this stupid paper money from the fucking overlords of this world. No, I've done something else. I've gone another route whereby I've tapped into my hidden funds, and that hidden fund pays me if I don't play that game. And so another very, very deep subject is that when we are born, people, we get stamped on the back of our birth certificate an amount of money which is allocated to us. And of course it isn't money, it's only digits, right? But it's recognised by banks and governments as an asset, because we are assets. When we are born as an asset, and we have been calculated to be worth X amount of pounds throughout our 40 or 50 years of labour, paying into the coffers of the tax machine, yeah? So we are allocated a certain amount of value because of the asset and potential that we have. And if we should fall sick, or we couldn't do this and that, then this money will be paying for that. So I've tapped into that. And so they have to pay me from that. Whereas anybody that hasn't tapped into it, they don't know about that, they are slaves to the man, you see. And so, it's horses for courses, isn't it? When you know things, then your life changes. And so now I know what cosmic consciousness is, I know what God is, I know what the kingdom of God is, I know what all these terminologies are, heaven and hell and samsara and nirvana and all these things, because I've experienced them all and I've lived them and I am them. And so therefore then I can wear the enlightenment crown, much to many people's chagrin, because I don't look too much like a king. Maybe I look like a queen. Shall I be queenie? Alright guys, enough. I'm going to go and do my testosterone fucking, injection thing, and I'll catch you guys later.